Dark Knights of Steel, Allwinter, issue 3, J. Christoph writing with Tirso Cons on the art. The surprise of the summer. Amusingly, given that it's all like a wintry book, but it's still like it came out in the summer to start with. So, yeah, this was good again. I thought this really sets up the Slade reluctantly, taking this kid on the journey, who we do find out definitively is named Alec in this issue.
And talks with the Green,
and
for
talks
sure.
with the Green,
yeah. We get confirmation from him.
Yeah, he brings up the Green first, and then later on we actually hear the name Alec, and it's like, okay, we were right. The first most obvious guess was the right one, but that's not disappointing because it makes sense.
Yeah, and all the story stuff in there too, with just the fact that he's a kid, and we know Slade's relationship with children and the responsibilities in there.
What are you talking about? He's a great father.
Yeah, I mean he's okay. He calls one daughter a mistake. So so just that dynamic here, and just that there's it starts with him running in. It's all in full color to denote that it's the past, right before this Allwinter sunk in.
Yeah,
he's running in.
There's a lot of flashback at the start. Yeah,
to talk to Adeline, right, and then it cuts to her grave, and a lot of kind of quiet. It's not exactly silent, right? And when he finally does talk with Alec, there's a lot of good stuff here, a lot of fun dynamics at play.
Notably, he goes to walk away into the snow, and he almost like leaves, and then he just sort of stops and says, shit, he can't do it. He has to come back and offer his hand, and Alec's like, wait, why should I go with you? Like why do you want to do take me to where we were going for her? You just got her killed. And he's like, look, if I leave you here, you're dead, and I've got enough blood in my hands, so let's go. And there's some great art here as they're traveling on horseback. It feels like we're doing kind of almost a Last of Us style trek across the post-apocalypse to hopefully save the world with this kid. And it actually throws a swerve at me, because there's this great page where they're going across this bridge, right? And again, everything's covered in snow, but it's this big wooden bridge.
It's frozen. Yeah.
Yeah, over the course of this this ravine or whatever it is. And they're fighting, right? Because he's asking the kid what they're going to the city for, and he's like, oh, I'm going to save the world, and he tells him about the Green, and he's like, wait, you hear voices from something in your head, and that's why we're traveling? This is a bunch of bullshit. I mean, I'm still going to take you because I promised I would, but I don't believe in any of this crap. And then out of nowhere, there's a full page spread where just a sort of shadowy black kind of blur is clearly landed on the bridge, which completely destroys it, and is going down with all these speed lines. And I was looking at this page before I turned it to the next one. I went, the only thing I can kind of make out here is that almost looks like bat ears I'm seeing on this figure. And sure enough, right, next couple of pages, it turns out to be Batman. It turns out to be Bruce Wayne from Dark Knights of Steel. And we get this kind of, crossing over, even though it's obviously set in the same world. It really establishes here to have obviously Slade fights him at first, and they have a bit of punching back and forwards and whatnot.
Yeah, Slade gets the ever-loving shit kicked out of him.
Well, yeah, because Bruce in this planet or this world has Kryptonian powers.
He's half Kryptonian, yeah.
Yeah, he blasts him with heat vision, and that's the end of it. Well, that's not the end of it. The end of it's actually Alec coming in and stopping it with his powers. But what's so interesting about this, though, after the fight calms down and Alex, comes in and makes everything go green and makes them stop fighting, and I love that it restores color to them as well for a page.
Yeah,
just for a couple of pages. It fades away afterwards, though. So 4 pages later, it's back to being black and white, aside from Alec. But for those couple of pages right after he's done that, there's a bit of blue in the background. Slade, you can see a little bit of the orange in his outfit, and some color in their cheeks and whatnot. That's a really nice touch in the coloring, given the gimmick they're playing with here. But what this gets to that's interesting is that Bruce Wayne has never heard of this place. That's this Allwinter realm that's on the planet. Likewise, the Kingdom of El is something that Slade has never heard of. So these are very separate places in this world that do not intermingle.
Yeah. Even before the Allwinter, it seems, right? Because the place is called Yarnlun.
I mean, seemingly, Bruce is here because he's flying around, so he's went much further than anyone else has. It wouldn't surprise me if we find out, like, maybe, like, oh, there was a time when they, like, these, like, maybe a group of people split up and went to different places, and that's how, so maybe once upon a time they did know of each other, but that was, like, thousands of years ago or something like that. But clearly no one seems to know about these two places,
because Bruce hasn't even heard of Vandal, right? Like he's pretty much the warlord of the area.
Excuse me, Matt. Vandar.
Vandar, yeah. Vandar Ag. Yes. But
yes.
So yeah, and he's while not royalty, he's close with the royalty, right? Being the bastard son. So you would think he would have known, getting an education and all this type of stuff. So that added a bit to the mystery of what's going on here.
Yeah, it definitely makes this a bit intriguing. And then it kind of, Batman joins the party. He's like, hey, can I travel with you? The kid's like, yeah, you should come with us. And so we end up with this, like them leaving together and Batman saying, hey, can you tell me about this land? And Slade's like, it's a bit of a long story. He's like, yeah, but do we have a long journey ahead of us? And he's like, aye, we do. And, he grabs his hand. So, it starts off, ends off with them leaving, and presumably he's going to tell them the story of this land. And behind, though, where Alec had his little green explosion to stop the fight, we see that a little vine has sprouted and life is maybe coming back to the land a little bit.
Yeah, so there's that. So they do this little sequence with these two squirrels, and Bruce lands on one of them, and it dies, right? And the other one that it's with, and they have this acorn, and also the horse that Slade was on died, and Slade's like, Slade kind of mourns the horse, like I really like that horse. And so as they're walking away and the green starts sprouting, right? Also, there's this horse that's back to life as well. At least that's how I took that.
Yeah, honestly, you're probably right. It never even occurred to me that was just his horse that came back. I just assumed the horse had wandered into shot.
Yeah. So, because I don't know how many other horses would be in this area, right? It looks pretty barren.
Oh, true. No, that's quite true.
So, this thing of explosion that he has also seems to bring about life. So this is how Alec's going to save the world, right? Who knows?
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, yeah, he's going to have the green resuscitate everything, basically. That's absolutely what's going to happen. So, no, I like this idea of adding someone. I did not expect one of the characters from the main book to show up, never mind become the third member of the party. If you're comparing this to like a Dungeons and Dragons style party, like an adventuring group, that this is, like, okay, Batman's here now. Like we've got this oddball team of Batman with Superman powers, with Deathstroke and
Viking Deathstroke and a kid
version of Swamp Thing. Yeah. Kind of nuts, kind of a weird combination, and it's clicking. The art is gorgeous. When it's black and white, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous when it kind of like has the color come into it for a little bit because Alex used his powers. All of that stuff is really, really well done. And while I enjoyed the main book, just like Deceased Unkillables, it's amazing to me how much this is like just hitting and being better than the main book was.
Yeah. It's because it's playing in the world, but it's not trying too hard, right? And that's kind of what Unkillables did. It was like, this is occurring in the world of Deceased, but we're telling its own story.
I think it helps as it's focused. It's focused on like a small group of characters, whereas by its nature, Dark Knights of Steel had to like set up all the different like the different like families and like one of the big parts of that book, and this is true of a lot of Elseworlds, is like just like, okay, what is X character like on this world? So we have to introduce this world's version of Harley, then this world's version of Amanda Waller, then this world's version of so and so. Whereas with this, we had to do it with Deathstroke and this Alec Holland, but other than that, it's been pretty much just like people who are connected to them. And it's very focused on one singular thing, which is this world is barren, and this kid might be able to save it. And it's very focused in a way that I think the main book wasn't, and I think it's really hitting for me. And I think the art's better as well, is another thing that's also working for me. But even just in a story perspective, I think the focus is just really, really clicking. So main story is very good. Very, very surprised by this. I'm almost sad it's only 6 issues, but that does mean that it won't drag on for too long and we can get to whatever the conclusion is. And who knows how this will affect a possible, Dark Knights of Steel sequel when that comes rolling around.
Yeah.
So very interesting, very interesting. And then the backup as well with Federici art, just to put put a cherry on top of the
put
whole.
a stamp on things.
Yeah, basically it's the story of the Kents being begged by Atlana as she's dying for them to look after Arthur, let him grow up and have a childhood before he finds out what he is, before he has to go back and like solve all the problems in Atlantis and the underwater civilizations.
It's the story of Superman told through Aquaman. I love it.
It kind of is, yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
And like the Kents are like, we thought we were going to die in a battlefield, but we're kind of admitting right now that we love each other and that we probably could look after a kid. So they basically just run off to Gotham. They live humble lives, even though they were just given a lot of money by Atlana, because she had like a couple of gold like medallions that are all worth like. The way she phrases it is that one of these medallions could like pay for a whole city. So probably they're set for life with these things. So the story kind of boils up to the point where basically the first big thing that sort of makes the Kents, Jonathan in particular, he's reminded that Arthur's different because they're taking him through the food market, and Arthur gets upset because he can hear the lobsters crying in pain that are on like a stall, and he basically uses his like talking to fish powers to command the lobsters to fight back. And Jonathan just throws some money at the guy. He's like, sorry, here, just take all this money, bye.
There's that. And then him in the bath saying that the water's too wet. And I'm like, what does that mean? So they end up going to the market. The reason they're there is to buy salt.
Yeah, because he likes salt water. Yeah.
Because he needs the salt water. And so the guy's even like, who needs that much salt? Have you ever tried pepper? Like, there's ways to do this. So I thought that was some bit of fun.
I think what I like about this moment at the end with the lobsters is that this is very reminiscent of a Superman growing up scene. It's just, obviously, Superman never talked to fish or crabs.
Right.
But it's very much like Superman's X-ray vision just kicked in or something, and Jonathan has to be like, hey, don't use that in public. It's very much that kind of moment of a power emerging. So it's fun. It's a fun play on things. And I'm curious to see again. Because, I mean, Taylor's writing the backup, so I do think that, at the very least, I expect Aquaman grown up is probably going to be important in the sequel of some kind.
Yeah, and we also saw that Waller saw them escape, right?
Yeah.
Or leave. That because Jonathan and Martha are both like, well, who knows who survived this battle, right? We could easily just disappear. But Waller, so I'm sure that'll rear its head by the end as well.
Yeah, possibly in the backup story itself, but if not, then yeah, whatever sequel story we get next.
Yeah.
So, no, cool. Yeah, I mean, as someone who liked Darkness of Steel, but was not necessarily like gasping for any more after it was finished, like it's amazing to me just how much I'm into this series. So, yeah, credit where credit is due.
I mean, they had me at Viking Deathstroke, and now they're getting me with Super Aquaman. So like. This is great.
Yeah, Aquaken, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, like it's not just the main story either. The backup is also like doing it for me. So really cool. What are you giving Allwinter issue 3?
I'm gonna give this one a 9.
Oofed. Oh. I don't think I can quite stretch to the 9. I'm gonna go 8.5. I don't think I can quite stretch to the 9, but it's very, very good, and I'm digging it.